On the news today, there was a new Nintendo Direct that hit this Wednesday, and it was actually, honestly, it was extremely disappointing. And coming from a Nintendo fan, that's kind of really bad because I was expecting this to be a little bit more, you know, something more than just what it was, honestly. Let me go into a little bit of detail. So, it was essentially a speed run, literally a speed run of a Nintendo Direct. It was pretty brief, pretty short. They spent like maybe 5 minutes on announcements for the 3DS, which, let's be honest, the Nintendo 3DS is dead on arrival right now. That handheld is dead. As of the Wii U, I honestly believe that it's gonna take over the handheld industry, very specifically for Nintendo, because it shouldn't. The 3DS will not be their focus for 2017 going on 2018, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows that. So it seems like that what they announced so far, which was really lackluster for the 3DS, probably with the exception of Fire Emblem, the new Fire Emblem title. That's about it. You had some Kirby announcements to celebrate the 20th, I believe, the 20th anniversary of Kirby. Which, why was there not a 25th anniversary for Metroid? If I'm correct, it was 2025. Honestly, Nintendo, I think, is completely ignoring the Metroid series, which is really odd. They've done like celebrations for every single franchise that they have, but for some reason they've completely ignored Metroid. I guess you could say they came out with that Federations title for the 3DS, but I mean, honestly, that's not really a Metroid game in the slightest. But anyway, what they actually did show for Nintendo Direct in response for the 3DS, it was really lackluster. So it's kind of showing that the 3DS is pretty much at its end, because it's been out for 5 to 6 years. So I think this is pretty much the end of the 3DS as we know it. Coming 2018, the primary focus for handheld will probably be the Nintendo Switch. Some of the things they announced. So the Nintendo Direct was primarily focused all on Splatoon and ARMS. They had some announcements for the Nintendo Switch, but it wasn't really that great. You got to see more of Super Street Fighter 2, and that really was not impressive considering it's just a port of HD remix from Xbox 360 and PS3. So it's not that really that great, and plus it's $40. Honestly, I don't see the price value in that, as you can play like these other Street Fighter games for like 20 or $15. But regardless, it has Evil Ken, or Evil Ryu, and Ken, so it has at least 2 new characters. One issue that I've actually found with this game is that it has touch commands, which is a really bad idea considering that there are charge characters in the Street Fighter series as like DJ and Guile and E Honda. Guile, if he doesn't charge and he's just constantly shooting sonic booms, that's kind of a disadvantage. So I'm curious if they're going to disable that function in online mode. We'll see very on, because Street Fighter, I believe, comes out in May, sometime in May. This month, however, I believe next week, or no, 2 weeks from now, we'll be getting Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which from this Nintendo Direct, it has no new tracks. So it's pretty much the same thing. It's a port from the Wii U version. Don't really know why we're waiting for it to be released next month when it should have came out with the Switch, if it's nothing more than a port. Now you may say that they added battle mode and it has a new feature in it. I'll agree with you. Some of the stuff that they are adding in is really impressive, and I do like the concept of like cops and robbers. However, I would like to see at least something else. Just 8 new tracks. That's all they had to do, but you know, and oh Nintendo, maybe they'll release DLC. Maybe you'll just have to pay more deals, pay more money for this DLC stuff. Maybe I'm not really sure at this point because it seems like there has to be something more to this than simply it being just Mario Kart 8, just on the handheld slash console hybrid. So, but we'll see. Honestly, Nintendo has their own plans. They know what they're doing, and there are no other games coming out as of the 28th. So there might be some DLC that we just don't know about, and we will just honestly have to wait and see. To continue on with the Nintendo Direct, they showed, I believe, Arms first, and they showed off a new character. Let me see if I can get her name up. I think it was Mimi. Honestly, I'm not even gonna look it up. I really don't care. Let me just say this: Arms looks not that impressive. It looks extremely boring, and it seems like nothing more than a gimmick for the Joy-Cons on the Nintendo Switch. Look, it might be an interesting game. It might be. But the way I'm looking at it, and the fact that it is the way it is, and it is literally a gimmick, I honestly can't believe that it's nothing else but, you know, you as you saw in the first announcement of Arms, you see like 2 people like wheeling their arms around, flinging their arms around and stuff, and it's like, yeah, it's gonna end up like a gimmick, and I honestly believe that it is. I believe that this game will fail. As you can tell, nobody really responds well to it. Maybe the actual diehard Nintendo fans do. Me, I consider myself a Nintendo fan, but when it comes to stuff like this, I really don't know. But once again, honestly, who knows? It's a new IP for Nintendo. They can't rely on the old IPs that have been, happening for the past 20 to 25 to 30 years now. So it is good that they have new IPs. However, just I don't like the fact that it is this gimmick. Some people might not like it, but honestly, you have to admit that it really is a gimmick for the Joy-Cons. Next up, we had Splatoon 2, and I'm a new Nintendo IP I'm really excited about, actually. They showed a new PvE game mode, or Horde mode, some people would probably like to call it. Really good. I think it's gonna be really great, considering it comes out in, I'm gonna say June. I believe it's June. So it comes out probably, I think, probably like a month and a half after Mario Kart 8. So that's gonna be a really good one. It's pretty much a horde mode of Splatoon. Really good, interesting mechanics at that. I'm really positive about this game. Splatoon 2 will do really well. And the fact that they're trying to force their way into esports, that's kind of odd, but I honestly think that this game will do well in terms of, maybe getting that attention that it needs to probably, sell more or get more people into, I guess, the more online functionality of Splatoon. I have actually played, I think I played only like an hour of Splatoon 2 in the beta function. I wish that it was not how it was tested. I wish that it was a week-long beta that didn't end, every hour on the hour, and it was just at random times of the day. They had one at 8 o'clock in the morning, to 9 o'clock, and then they had one at like maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then they had one at 5 in the morning. I didn't really like that. I wish it could have just been a whole long week of, a beta pretty much, to test out the servers or something like that. That would have been great. But the only 1 hour that I played, I actually really did have fun. Only thing I really didn't like is that you couldn't connect with your friends that was on the Switch. Now, that's not going to be the case with the actual full release of the game. We know this for sure. But I would have just enjoyed it a little bit more if I could hang out and play with people that I know, because honestly, I was getting wrecked. Well, I shouldn't say I got wrecked. I shouldn't say that. But I kept losing constantly, and I found myself and I always get in this mood where if I play a game that's a multiplayer game and it's just me with a bunch of randoms, I start to lose a lot. Now, I don't know if it's my fault, but it always happens no matter what the game is. Call of Duty, Gears of War, any game like that. I always found myself losing over and over and over again, even Overwatch. And I don't know if it's my fault, if I'm just really bad at the game, but with a game that is needed for an entire team, and I do my fair share of work, and it doesn't really show because I pretty much lose all the time. I don't know. I just wish I could have played with people that I knew in the beta. Also, Nintendo didn't really show anything else in terms of the Switch. We know that there is a Square Enix game, which I am extremely excited about because it is a traditional RPG made by Square Enix, coming out for the Switch, I believe, next week. And I will pick it up day one. This is a digital game. That kind of scares me a bit, but I think they showed that, and that was about it. So honestly, Nintendo might be holding on to their mainstay games for E3, which is going to be in 2 months from now. We'll probably see a lot more stuff. Honestly, I'm hoping that they don't drop the ball on this. They come right out the gate. Virtual console. Here's the Zelda DLC. Here's the Mario Kart DLC. Here's Mario Odyssey. Here's what it's gonna be like. Maybe a new IP. Maybe a new Kirby game. Maybe a Metroid game. We still don't know what's going on with what is that game called? It escapes me right now. The game with Travis Touchdown. But anyway, we still don't know what's going on with all those kinds of games that they actually talked about. We still don't know what's going on with the Shin Megami Tensei game. What else was there that they revealed for this on the Switch? Tons of games. Maybe a Bayonetta 3. Something else. But I think it's gonna be great that if they come out prepared. I would like for them to not do a Nintendo Direct for E3 this year, because the Nintendo Directs are a bit odd when it comes to presentations, especially on like a big stage where you could give your presentation in front of a lot more people, and that would do a lot more if they actually had what they didn't have last year. I think they should follow the exact same format, at least for E3, what Xbox and Sony have been doing. I think that would be a great thing for Nintendo. It would be really entertaining and really fun if they came out onto a stage with a full audience and presented what is the Nintendo Switch going to have. Because right now it is nothing more than a Zelda machine. And everybody knows that. And people want to deny it, but it's completely true. All right, let's continue on with the Nintendo news. Nintendo has ended distribution of the NES Classic, which was the $60 retro console that Nintendo released for the NES, with about I think 30 titles, including like Super Mario Brothers 3, Mega Man 1 and 2, Castlevania, etc. So yeah, they ended distribution, and retailers will be receiving their last shipment of the classic console this month. So that kind of means that, Best Buy, GameStop, Target, they'll all receive about 2 or 3 NES classics, which scalpers will honestly pick up on a dime and sell them for about $300 to $400. In my opinion, the NES Classic is not really worth it anymore. It was nothing but a test to see if anybody would buy it. Hopefully Nintendo comes out with the SNES Classic, wink wink, because I would honestly buy that in a heartbeat. I don't really cherish the retro console, the NES Classic, that much, because I never grew up with those, titles that came out on it. I was a SNES kid, and, if I see something like, Super Bomberman, Super Mario World, Metroid, what else? I think Super Castlevania, was it? I believe. Earthworm Jim. All those types of games, I would honestly buy it in a heartbeat. I would go out. I would be one of those people in a line waiting at release night to pick up one of these things. But Nintendo probably will not be doing an SNES Classic because they might be looking into doing a virtual console of the Super Nintendo on Nintendo Switch. I can see it happening, and you'll probably still have to pay the maybe $7 to $14 to buy those games again for probably the 4th or 5th time. In my opinion, honestly, do not, whatever you do, I don't care how desperate you are to get an NES Classic. I checked on Amazon today. Do not buy an NES Classic for over $300. Do not do it for $200. Don't even do it for $100. I honestly, if it's not $60, don't buy it. It doesn't make any sense to do that. Honestly, all you would have to do is get a Raspberry Pi, download, make an emulator for it, run it, download the ROM files, and then just play those. That's all you gotta do. NES games is like maybe less than a megabyte, so it's not gonna be very much. You don't really need that much when it comes to memory. So I would honestly just say, because you could get a Raspberry Pi for probably about $40. That's literally all you need. With an Xbox One controller or a PS4 controller, that's all you need, people. Do not be obsessed with the NES Classic and go out and buy it for $300 because it makes zero sense. You don't really need to do that. You're literally wasting money when you could be like saving and doing literally anything else with your money. All right, let's talk about Bayonetta for a second. So I speculated last week that Bayonetta 3 was going to be announced on Nintendo Switch, considering that the Bayonetta announcement along with the Nintendo Direct were the day after each other. However, that wasn't what it was. It was a Bayonetta PC port, which is 4K at 60 frames per second. And let me tell you this, the game runs amazing. I started to play it. I wanted to stream it, but Persona 5 is in the way of that right now. I can't really touch Bayonetta right now on PC. I did test it. I played about probably 20 to 25 minutes on it, and the game runs amazing. Best port for Bayonetta. So if you haven't picked up Bayonetta on Xbox 360, don't pick it up on Xbox 360. If you have it on the god awful PS3, do not pick it up on a PS3. It is the worst port on PS3. Pick it up on a PC, pick it up on Steam. It's $20 and play that because it is way better. It runs faster and literally no lag. Graphics look perfectly fine, although I will say the graphics kind of look the same. It might be up-resed, and honestly, that might be it. I can't tell you any of the differences from the 360 version because they look exactly alike. Platinum games always run at 60 frames as they're action games, so there might be a constant 60 FPS on PC, as 360 might fluctuate between the 55s and the 60s. But in terms of experience, the Bayonetta PC port is honestly a buy right now if you have not picked up Bayonetta 1 on either 360, PS3, or the Wii U, because it's on there as well with Bayonetta 2. People that have been asking for Bayonetta 2, it's never coming to PC because guess what? Nintendo owns that game. Nintendo is the one that paid for it to be made. So as of right now, Bayonetta 2 is exclusive to the Wii U. Now it might come to the Nintendo Switch. We don't know. Honestly, we're gonna have to wait for it. Now, Nintendo could do something to move the license over to Sega for Bayonetta 2 if they aren't doing it for the Nintendo Switch, and they could sell that IP over to Sega and have it be released for PC, Xbox One, and PS4. It's possible. However, I think it's unlikely, as Nintendo really probably would want to hold on to Bayonetta 2 as it really is a console seller. Me, for example, I bought Bayonetta 2, or let me say this, I bought the Wii U specifically for Bayonetta 2 and Smash 4. That was what my Wii U was for. So Bayonetta 2 might be a console seller for the Nintendo Switch along with Breath of the Wild. So I'm really kind of hesitant on what Nintendo's going to do, because it would make more sense for them to release a definitive edition for Bayonetta 2 on the Nintendo Switch. It would just honestly make more sense. Alright, now I don't really like talking about Microsoft that much, but I think it's really good that I talk about Microsoft, at least for today. Microsoft is doing their Microsoft Spring Sale, and it ends on the 17th. So you got about 2 days to pick up a couple of titles that are on sale. Just to name a couple, you got Ori and the Blind Forest for $10, Gears of War 4 for $30, and Killer Instinct the Definitive Edition for $24. All are, I believe, Xbox One exclusive. You can buy them on PC as well. And they're all honestly a buy for me. Ori and the Blind Forest, probably a really good Castlevania / Metroid game. Gears of War 4, really good. Killer Instinct, probably one of the best fighting games this generation. Honestly, they're all a buy. I didn't really see any other titles when I was looking this stuff up. I'm sure there's a lot more, because as I did my research, I found a lot of articles talking about it, and it probably is more than just those 3 games, but these are the ones that I advocate for: Ori and the Blind Forest, Gears of War 4, and Killer Instinct. They're all buys, in my opinion, all the best games specifically for the Xbox One, and only for the Xbox One. I just wanted to throw that in there because people might believe that I'm anti, Xbox, I'm a PS4 fanboy. That's not true, but I just like the titles that Xbox has as of right now. All right, I got two more things to talk about. Next up on the list is Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, coming this August. A lot of people are actually kind of hesitant about the price. It's gonna be $39.99 on release date, and a lot of people believe that it's not gonna live up to what Uncharted 4 is, as this is technically a DLC. So it's kind of odd that it's $40 when it probably should be 20. But for those that actually bought the DLC with Uncharted 4, they're gonna get it completely free. I believe that this is a standalone price of $40, so it would kind of make more sense that way. The Lost Legacy is going to be following, I believe, Chloe in her own adventure. So this is probably a DLC slash standalone of Uncharted 4. Probably not even going to involve Nathan in anything at all. It's going to be solely Chloe in her adventures. Haven't even touched Uncharted 4 yet. Haven't even touched Uncharted 1, 2, or 3. So before August, I'm going to have to pretty much do Uncharted 1, 2, 3, and 4. I did do the one that was on Vita, and boy, was that a mistake. But we'll see when it comes out. But the reception right now for this DLC is pretty negative, as people are not convinced of the price and how much time they're going to be spending on this game, which is estimated to be around 10 hours. It could be more or it could be less. For some people it might be like 7 or 6. For others it might be, 11 or 15. So who knows when it comes to actual timing of the game, or is it going to be worth the buy standalone? Last topic of the week, Prey will be getting a free playable demo this weekend on PS4, Xbox One, and not on PC, which makes a lot of PC players actually really salty. Don't really know much about it. I might download it just to see how the game is. But in my opinion, this game looks really good from the actual trailer that I saw. So it probably will be a must buy. You'll be able to play it for, I believe, 1 hour. Yeah, that's it. I think it's going to be great.